everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of Top of the Pod. It's been a while. It's been a beat. It's been a minute, but you know yourself, life and all sorts gets in the way, and we've all been pretty busy. If we haven't been here, we've been somewhere else, or we've been working on other projects, and just life has just been a little bit hectic. But you know what? Hectic is good. Keeps us busy, keeps us focused, and leaves us create and put out such amazing content, including what's coming today. So, what we have taken a look at is the top 10 rated TV shows from 2004, according to Metacritic. Now, we've reviewed all of the pilot episodes of these TV shows. We will go through them in no particular order, and then we will rate them according to our own individual lists and compile an overall list at the end. We've all kind of had a little bit of a chat before we came on line, and we were just saying that this list was really, really difficult to place when it came to who was going what, where, and why. It was really difficult. I certainly found it difficult. Guys, what do you think was so tricky?
Besides one or two, it was very tough. Well, they were not tough to watch. It's just a lot of them are the same, and a lot of find the similarities. Yeah,
I agree.
I think 2004 in general was a very interesting time for television.
Yes.
Like we're starting to get the rise of kind of cable TV, where some of these are like network procedurals at a time where some of these shows, by the time they ended, the whole model of television had changed behind them.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of hard. Like these are a lot of these shows I was aware of. In fact, I don't think there was a single show on this list I wasn't aware of already, unless I'm forgetting one. But I'd only actually seen one of them. And I was aware of all the rest of them because they were big deals when they came out. But I think it's kind of hard because, you have things here that are trying to be like peak television, things that are trying to be kind of cinematic television, and then things that are just trying to be weekly television. And that kind of doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
These were kind of the last bunch of those. And again, you're also reviewing pilots, and sometimes it can be hard with pilots because sometimes they set up just the characters, and it doesn't really give you a sense of what the show is about. So I don't know. It's a strange one. It's at a very interesting time to make this list. I think I don't know.
Definitely, and you know as well, it was kind of, as you say, it was a very interesting time in TV, but it was it was kind of like for certain genres, there was a formula that everybody clung to for life. It's working, so let's make 60 million of them, because if they love this, they're going to love you. You're fabulous. They're going to love everything you do, and we're going to put you in 10 different things. And it did feel a bit samey after a while. And as you said, trying to strike that balance between wanting to tune in every week. My God, imagine waiting to the following week for the next episode, dying, you know what I mean? From that to going to, aside from holding the interest, but not just in what's happening in the show, but in the characters. Very, very hard to do from a pilot, you know, but some are really, really successful at it. And some, then you're just like, oh, Jesus Christ, how did they make another one of these? So what do you think, Clough?
Yeah, I think what you were saying there, like a lot of, like, if you go back, this is pre fucking Netflix or streaming services, like, so a lot of these shows, if you were getting invested in them back then, you would have to wait a week for the next episode. You couldn't binge watch these, which is, you know, poetic, was because Lost which is on this list, is actually just after dropping on Netflix. I'm not sure it's in Netflix in Ireland, but it's definitely on Netflix in most of the world.
America, I think, yeah.
But it's given the option now for people to binge watch Lost, and like a whole new generation of people can, you know, see what all the hype was about back when it was. Because, you know, I remember being places and having to get home and they get to watch Lost.
Yes.
We had to get home. Like, we're at a beach on a sunny day, and it comes 6 o'clock, I gotta go home for 7. I would drop everything just to get back to watch Lost, regardless of what people thought of the ending of it. The series itself was fucking phenomenal at the time because of the budget they had for it. Even the budget they had, like, we can start with Lost if you want, if we're starting there as well. The budget they had for the pilot episode, it was shot as 2 1-hour shows. It was a 2-hour pilot episode, basically, back to back, but it was the most expensive pilot ever made at the time, which was crazy.
Was there a reason? Like, were they trying to make it into a film, or did it just...
It was supposed to be. I think originally it was supposed to be just a 2-hour movie, but like they had a $14 million budget that turned into a 2-part pilot episode that ended up becoming, the phenomenon that it was back in 2004 and beyond. Like, so I mean, a lot of the stuff that happened, and like even Jack in the pilot episode originally was supposed to die in the plane whenever they took the smoke thing, took the pilot out of it. He was actually supposed to die in that scene. Like, he wasn't even.
That would have been good.
He wasn't supposed to be a main character at all. He was just supposed to be the first person to actually die in the show and move on. And Kate was supposed to be
the hero,
the Jack person in the show. They were trying to have a female lead, but obviously it didn't pan out that way. But for me, Lost, like going back and watching it, we watched the first episode, and I was like, I want to sit down and watch it again and go through it all and try and understand what the fuck everything was, because they didn't explain a lot of stuff. Like, if you are planning on binge watching it, there's a lot of stuff that they never explain at all ever that just doesn't make sense. But it was what it was back in the time, which was a phenomenal show. So for me, it was on number 3. It was a nostalgia feel that got it up higher, knowing how good the actual show ended up being, besides the ending.
Oh, that's interesting now. Good way to segue us into kicking off with Lost. Like, I didn't watch Lost, okay, and I wish I didn't know about the controversy surrounding it, because it kind of ruined it a little bit for me. So trying to put that to one side and then watch it as like, ooh, and especially me, because I'm an aviation nerd. It fascinates me. I love it. So anything with a plane in it, sign me up. I'm watching it. I want to know everything about it, and then I'll be looking up stuff about, like, oh, why did this and that. And so for me, this should have been right up my street. Okay. The reason it wasn't right up my street, not that it was particularly awful for our first episode, but for me, for the first pilot episode, for me to get invested, the crash was enough. Yeah. There didn't need to be, the pilot flying out the fucking seat. There didn't need to be a big smoke or black smoke monster, like there was plenty, because of how long it went on, of time and episodes for all of that to come in later, and then for people to start turning on each other, for then, the Australian lady to have her, about the baby having, like, she's, was it Braxton Hicks she had, or she was cut or something, wasn't she? So like, I just felt I know it's absolute chaos after a plane crash, but all of a sudden, like, straight away they're off looking for the cockpit, straight away they're off, I was just kind of like, you should all be in complete shock of what's after happening, or not even figuring out what's after happening, or I don't know, I just kind of felt, now, I mean, not that I've been in a plane crash, touch wood, I'm not really sure how I would react, but I just felt like there was an awful lot going on everywhere, which I'm sure there would be, but I just kind of thought, like, let's kind of like sort shit out first before people start turning on each other, people's, like, the snide comments, and oh, you shouted out for him, but you didn't shout out for me, and now we've got 2 men fighting over the female lead, and I'm like, what? How did you didn't even speak to each other on the plane, and now we've got a smoke monster and a pilot with his head in the tree? It was just kind of, I was like, fucking hell. But I would have had to tune in for the second episode, because I would want to know what the fuck all that was about. So for me, it hit in at number 7. So lower probably on the list for a lot of E-But, or lower than a lot of E-But. I thought the crash was enough for us to get over before we start throwing all sorts of shit at him.
I actually put it up. I was going to put it 3, but it's actually 2.
Wow!
I had a debate about this, because I was like 2 or 3. But the ending part of it is what really pushed it into 2.
Okay.
I love the mystery about all the stuff in the bushes. I'm assuming that's something that you're on about that doesn't get.
Some of it gets explained, but you have to. But that's what made it such a good show back in the day, because you didn't know what thing. They never explained at the end of each episode what things were. You had to tune in to find out what the fuck it was, and then sometimes they didn't even tell you what it was, so you had to.
I knew the ending, and my brother told me all about it years ago, because I just was like, I'm not going to watch it if it's going to be a bad ending. So in the back of my head, I'm like, nah, but no, it was very, very good. Even the CGI looked good for some of
for some of the times,
so
actual pilot, there were the the scene where they have your man getting sucked into the propellers.
Oh, that, yeah.
3 different scenes that were shot in different studios, and they're all mashed together to make it actually happen. The director said the only way he'd get it done without CGI was if he actually killed the stuntman.
Jesus.
I look, needs must. I'm just
Is it JJ directed or did he
What am I playing?
producing it?
He
directed the pilots.
the
Those
pilot.
2 episodes.
I was pleasantly surprised because I did not think I was going to like it at all.
Mm.
I really, really was going. But again, the
Yeah.
cast was perfect, and also I cringed with that knife and the blood and the cuts, sewing him, stitching him together. Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Like the little sewing kit, because
Yeah.
yeah, stop, man. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to that. No, I'd be on the floor.
Yeah.
Number
But
2.
yeah, no, pleasantly good. Surprisingly good.
Excellent. Tom, tell us, where are you laying with Lost? Are you feeling lost?
Not quite lost. I know where my head is. I was certainly lost when the show was going on because I wasn't watching it, and everyone was talking about polar bears and smoke monsters and heaven and hell and purgatory and all this shit.
Right.
So I remember all the conversations. The thing is, I didn't watch it when it was on TV. Really, I kind of jumped in and out, and that clearly was not the way to watch the show. But I again, I know the controversy and the ending, and I was always very cynical about the show as a result. I do intend to watch it. I have the whole box set there on Blu-ray, and I enjoyed the first episode, but I was also very dogmatic. I just watched part 1 of the pilot because it aired one week, and then the second part of the pilot aired the next week. So I was like, okay, you have one chance to hook me. Would this have hooked me? And it probably would have, to be honest. I don't think it was like I don't get why people love the show based on that episode, but that's fair enough. I know all these characters become a big deal because just based on the thing, I'm like, oh, that's John Locke. I know who John Locke is. And I'm like, why do I know who John Locke is? All these kind of random bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you see the budget on the screen for a pilot. It's funny now, it's the biggest pilot of all time, and it's so quaint compared to what we have now on television at times. But yeah, it's an impressive looking pilot. Some of the mysteries grabbed me. I don't think it was my favorite. I thought I would like it a bit more, but I think based on maybe performances of some of the other players, I'd put it at number 3. I am going to go back to it, so it has that over the rest, and that's kind of how I'm scoring this. Is would I go back and watch more of it? And yeah, for that reason, it's getting number 3 for me, which isn't too bad, to be fair.
No, not at all. Perfect. Cool. So that was Lost. So we not all of us lost. We're lost. So that's always good to hear. It didn't do too bad. So it's a mix of scores, but Christ, bad bitch here then with our 7. Anyway. Woo. But there we go. Look, come here. It's nice to have a difference of opinion, I think, as well.
I've got such a great transition here. You ready?
Yes.
You know what you could do and say if you were lost? Rescue me! Yay! Good night, everybody.
Oh my God.
Why didn't it literally land on that?
Thank you. It would have been really bad if I was like Deadwood.
Oh my God.
But
no.
Yeah, I'll start talking about Rescue Me since I jumped across you there.
The Project Runway, did they?
Oy. Oh my God, we got this all day.
Honestly, this is just getting more.
Boston Legal.
Somebody should have built them a house.
Wow. Oh my God, right, this is getting out of hand. Oh my God.
We can go all day.
Oh,
Just save some of these transitions.
Amazing, right? Oh my
Look,
God.
I'll jump in and talk about Rescue Me.
Yeah.
This was one that I was totally aware of at the time. When FX as a network launched, the president of FX basically said the 4 shows that kept them as a network and legitimized them was It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, The Shield, Nip Tuck, and Rescue Me. So I was always like, wow, that is a pretty elite company. And I thought this show was meant to be really, really dark. All I really knew about it was that it was firefighters kind of in the wake of 9/11.
Yeah.
I think it's a strange show because I really remember at the time it was going on, and I remember people talking about it. It feels like it hasn't really had any cultural staying power. It feels like in some ways it's very much of the time. You can't, I don't believe, watch it on streaming on this side of the world. I was kind of like, where the hell am I going to watch this? And then I just forgot that I had the first season on DVD, so I even forgot that. So it's it's an interesting one, but honestly, I was quite impressed by this. I actually really enjoyed it. It's comedic, more so than I expected. it definitely feels a little bit like they wrote to Dennis Leary's strength in this. Like he's just perfectly cast as sarcastic asshole man, and that's kind of how he seems like in real life. I mean, he wrote a song called "I'm an Asshole" as a comedian, and apparently rips off other comedians. So yeah, that's pretty much exactly what you'd expect from this guy. I think it definitely feels it very much feels post 9/11, and I think that's why maybe it hasn't necessarily aged or carried over, because it feels very much like how are we all feeling in New York in the emergency services after 9/11, and I think that's so of its time. But it's interesting for that as well. I thought it was maybe at times a little bit try hard and edgy. There's a lot of like a lot of the stuff they say probably wouldn't fly now on TV. There's kind of some kind of homophobic things. There's a lot of like fragile masculinity thing, and I'd like to think that as the show goes on, and maybe it reassesses that and says like, hey, these are just guys ribbing each other, and you kind of get a bit of that in one scene towards the pilot, which I think really redeemed it for me as well. But no, I will say I quite enjoyed it. I'd like to see more of it. I kind of am intrigued. There's sort of a lot of things in the air by the end of the first episode that make it kind of get it sucked into me. And I will say I really loved the final shot of the episode where he's just walk away from the beach and all the people he's kind of saved or have died on his watch are following, and that was like, oh, that was enough to kind of get me to go, okay, this has got me now. So yeah, based on that, I actually rated it really high. I actually rated it higher than Lost, because I did enjoy it that much. So for me, Rescue Me is at number 2.
Wow, excellent. I like that. Funnily enough, I also rated this a 2, Tom. Similar reasons as well. It was quite, some parts of it, definitely. But I don't know, as you say, was a little bit too, maybe try hard just to try and catch people with the pilot and show that this isn't going to be your run-of-the-mill TV series. It's going to be quite, look, this is what you're going to get when you tune into it. So maybe that's what it was about. Definitely of its time, along with aviation, funnily enough, anything that is related to 9/11, you have me, I'm watching it. The whole thing fascinates me in a very, very sad way. The whole thing, it really does. It holds my interest because obviously I have an interest in interest in aviation, and so the whole thing. If there's something on the telly, I flick it through the channels, it's on for me because it's so strange. You know this about me. You know what it's like. It's just everyone can remember where they were when it happened. Everybody I can remember watching it on the TV. I can exactly remember, what the couch was like I was sat on, the house I was in, so many houses back ago it was. I can remember the TV, the windows in the room, everything, and so for me, this straight away had my interest, and it is right up my street. But here was what I found very, very interesting about this show, that 9/11 was extremely tragic. And God help us for the people who lost their lives. And the destruction it caused, and the outrage, and obviously what happened afterwards as well, around the world. But it's tackling a very, very difficult subject that some people may forget. It's those who are left behind and those who were injured or developed chronic illnesses as a result of working on the pile. Like, that's a very, very difficult subject to broach because I think sometimes they can be forgotten. So there's actually some really, really good shows on YouTube to listen to as well, where it's the survivor story and they explain all that about them as well. And another really good show about the compensation fund as well. So definitely just shout outs to them to know the fuller story. But I think to try and tackle the aftermath of it and what people were left with when all the funerals were gone, when all of the parades were gone, when the new One World Trade is up and the memorial is up and everything, when all that is gone, what's left? Broken firehouses who lost so many people. And because 2000, back in the early 2000s and even to now, a fireman is held at a very, very high regard, on a very high pedestal, and is seen as butch and burly and strong and nothing's going to tackle me or hurt me. So for them to show weakness is very, very difficult, even like aside from the tragedy that they've been through and what they're still going through and the suffering. I really, really enjoyed it, which sounds terrible, but I did, because that's a part that is forgotten quite a bit. Yeah, definitely there was parts where it was a little bit too try hard for us to, but then again, I couldn't help but empathize with them. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to balance this, how we've always been, with this new way forward, and just trying to find some kind of a happy balance in between. But it's all proving so difficult, and relationships falling apart, gambling habits, drinking habits, all of these have started. I know, and I'm off on a tangent, but you know me now when I get going, right, especially if I do it 9/11, that it's the ripple effect of what's going on, of how their lives have been affected and how they're managing it back in the same firehouse they were before 9/11, you know. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But yeah, so this rated really, really highly on my list. It was almost my number one, and I could have switched it out with my number one, to be honest with you. But I would watch more of this for sure. So number two for me, Rescue Me. Now I'm gonna rescue you from my monologue.
Well,
Darling.
Phil,
Go, Phil. Go, Phil. I'll be quiet for the next one.
It was fine. I have it as 5. It's just I had trouble watching this because my stream kept breaking constantly. So it took me 5 times to watch it. So I found it very hard to get into it. Like, I don't know what happened. It just kept freezing and it just kept on. I don't know what it was. It took me 5 times to watch it, and I was like, I can't get into this. I thought it was too crude for what it was. Maybe it was just me. Maybe it's just because I watched so much TV today that it felt out of place. You know, it just felt of its time, I suppose. But the ending shot, as he said, is really, really good. I'm going to have to watch more of it though, because I really, really struggle to get into it, and I don't know. I also wasn't a fan of the seeing ghosts and seeing the people who die. I don't know. It just could be me, and that whole scene with the counselors and stuff annoyed me. I don't know. I just could not get into it. There's worse stuff on it. It's not really bad, but I definitely going to have to watch more of it to see where it's going to go.
Interesting.
I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
Yeah. Well, that's a good position so for 5. If you don't hate it, you don't love it. 5 is a good call for it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad.
Dear.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. My dad was a volunteer firefighter when we were growing up, so that always resonates with me whenever firefighters. And I trained in the naval. When I was in the naval service, we had to be trained firefighters because you can't get a fire truck at sea, so we had to fight our own fires at sea. So it's all part and parcel of the job. But I really enjoyed the backstory of Dennis Leary's reason for creating this. In 1999, his cousin died in a house fire, or in a massive fire, killed like 26 people or something, and his cousin was one of them in Massachusetts. And he set up a charity fund for firefighters who lost family members, or family members who lost their, firefighters fund, which to date has raised like $13 million for families of firefighters. And the show was based, like, it was not based on it, like, but when he created it, it was based around his cousin. I think his friend or his brother that he sees as the ghost is based on his actual cousin. But I really like I actually really like the fact that he was seeing people who died on his watch, or people who died whenever they were trying to rescue them, because the show is about firefighters trying to rescue people. So he's living with the demons that he couldn't rescue these people, and they all died under his watch. So it's not something that back then you would have talked about. Nowadays it's probably more open that people talk about their feelings or they're going through stuff, like, so that was kind of.
There was one weird scene in it as well with the window when he threw the doll.
Where he threw the doll out.
Yeah.
That's just a
way
of
I think, yeah.
I thought that was really funny because I took my eye off for 2 seconds and legitimately also thought it was like an actual person jumping out the window.
Yeah.
That's something that actually happens. Firefighters do stuff like that. They come down after an event that's traumatizing. They have to break the tension, kind of thing. So they do practical jokes on each other to bring them back, so like ready for the
I listened to a podcast, and one of the guys on it is like an FDNY or former FDNY firefighter, and like it was nice. Like the way he describes it seemed exactly like this. And I think what you're saying as well is interesting there, Jerry, because you're on about how they didn't really talk about their feelings. I think what's interesting is like it's kind of in this we get like at the end where the therapist kind of walks in. It's kind of like that old school idea that we have and the kind of modern kind of breaking through. I think that's why it's kind of an interesting period for the show to take place in.
Yeah, agreed.
Your man actually who played Chief Jerry, the short, stumpy guy,
And the gambling.
he was a real life firefighter
Hmm.
in New York before he moved to Los Angeles to become an actor. So
Wow.
casting it as a chief of the firefighting was mad casting as well.
And where did you place that?
Number 4.
Interesting. Wow.
Tom's trying to think now what my number 1 and 2 is.
I'm already thinking. I'm thinking this list is going to be such a mess, and we're all going to have different number ones. I think
It is. I think so. I think it's going to be so messed up, this list. So from Rescue Me, around the streets of New York, let's hope that they don't come into any traffic. Ooh. So next up on the list
Get off the road,
was Traffic. No, Traffic is based on the movie. Am I correct?
The story of
the
movie with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Based on a movie that was based on a miniseries.
Yeah.
So it's a bit all over the place.
It's
so it's kind of a mess. It's weirdly cyclical, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, 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 very long for a pilot episode.
Oh my, yeah. That's what I wrote down here.
Not a lot happens besides drugs and phone calls.
Yeah, I don't understand. Sometimes I don't understand why they make miniseries. Like, if it's going to be a pilot, a pilot episode is, normally there for, 10 episodes or a season, or they have a couple of seasons planned out. But when you make a miniseries that's already been done as a movie, like basically as a movie, or there's been similar stories being told in a movie a couple of years earlier, like why bother? What's the point?
Was it necessary?
I don't think so, no.
Do you know what I mean?
The movie wasn't great.
No.
The pilot was even.
And this is also as well 4 hours long if you watch the whole thing.
If we watch the whole thing. If you're stuck, it's like being on the M50, like you're on 4 hours of traffic.
You have something to listen to. Or yeah.
What was this aired on? Because I couldn't find it anywhere.
What was the what?
What was it aired on?
What was it aired on? Because I couldn't find it anywhere.
Aired. I actually don't know.
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you. That's always a good sign.
There's actually, I was looking online afterwards, and there's very little trivia about it. There's very little anybody wrote anything about it. So
I don't know. Very little. It was on the USA Network. It said.
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure who the critics were that scored it.
USA.
Yeah. It was coming in at like 7.2, 7.4. And I was like, were you watching the same thing that I was watching? I don't know. And do you know what? It had all the ingredients, you know what I mean? Drug deals and all of the, like the cloak and dagger, heroin, all the ingredients were there, but was it? That's why I kept asking myself. I was like, was this necessary? It's like, this is
not the
really bad rehashed,
I think we've been blessed over the last 10 or 12 years with, TV
like
shows about drugs.
Queen of the South. We have, haven't we?
The fucking The Wire and fucking Breaking Bad and stuff have totally outshined something like that. Like, obviously we got loads of seasons of them, like miniseries, just like trying to squeeze it all into one just didn't really do it.
No.
For me, anyway, it was number 9.
Yeah, 9 as well.
Very. Traffic.
I don't even know. I'm not sure people are even going to know what the hell it is we're talking about, like the show.
Yeah,
but you know what? That speaks a lot because I literally what I wrote down long and wasn't necessary, or should it have stopped from the film? It wasn't necessary. That's what I wrote down.
Very quickly lost my interest. Like I just kind of skimmed through parts of it. It was a lot of like people talking into phones and like different parts of the drug cartel chains and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, that's enough of that. Number 8 for me. Yeah, not giving it any more thought, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think I'd say if anyone who is watching this goes to watch it as well, look, that's just our opinion on it. But the fact that we all kind of have it was 9 for me. The fact that we all kind of have it on the same wavelength, if you like, speaks volumes that we're all just kind of like very hard to hold the focus and disinterested very, very quickly, and are just like, a little bit of eye rolling going on, but say nothing. From eye rolling to give me a good transition into another one from eye rolling.
Oh, Christ.
Come on now.
From a desperate miniseries to Desperate Housewives.
Ooh, lovely, lovely, lovely. Desperate Housewives, lads, right? I've never watched this in full. Okay, I haven't, right? Which I apparently is criminal, right? But I've never watched Desperate Housewives in full. Phil, were you a fan of Wisteria Lane?
I've never ever seen this before. The mystery is perfect. I love it. I put this as one.
Really?
No
Oh yeah. Oh
way,
yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah. Like the minute I saw that opening sequence, I was like, yeah, that's me. I love this. I
You
can't.
can never predict this show. Like,
No, I never ever. I've never seen this ever. I always thought it was something that it wasn't. I thought it was a way more raunchier for some reason.
Um, I've watched later episodes. It does get raunchier.
Okay. My thing was like John Tucker ruining families is what I was saying. You know the guys in it, Jesse.
Yeah.
I was like, where do I know him from? There we go.
Yeah, yeah, that guy. And the end of it with the gun. It's just the whole mystery had me. Really good. I didn't know what to expect with it as well. I didn't know if your man was on the good or bad side. I can't remember his name. I watched it so long ago, I can't remember names.
Oh,
Who are we talking about?
Oh,
Uh,
the new guy he moved in.
the
Is it?
plumber.
yeah, the plumber fella, yeah.
Isn't he a
What's his
cop?
name?
Isn't he not undercover?
No, what's his name in it?
Oh, fucking
Ah,
Mario. He's a plumber.
no.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect with all that. It was just really good and really well done. And then it was just chaotic. She burns the house down. There's just so much happens in it.
Yeah,
And the,
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the opening scene is just hilarious.
That house went up like
No,
a
it shouldn't be.
fucking.
Even though it shouldn't be funny, it is funny.
I know what you mean. That's brilliant. That was top of your list.
Yeah.
Mom, will you be visiting Wisteria Lane anytime soon?
Well, it seems like just a bit of context. What age was I? I was 12 when this first went on TV. I went and I was going through my teenage years. I went to an all boys school. All the lads were going on about the Desperate Housewives. They loved it. Like they're like, "Who's your favorite?" I never watched Desperate Housewives. I saw bits of it when it was on TV. I kind of again I like Phil. This was I thought it was something it wasn't. I thought it was a lot more raunchier. I thought it was basically just like like kind of mommy porn, kind of like 50 Shades of Grey stuff, like a little bit of that. And it's not. There's kind of a nice whimsical kind of quality to it. I thought tonally they really nailed that. And I did find it interesting overall. I thought it was somewhat entertaining. I found that some of the characters more interesting than others. Hated those fucking triplets. I think those triplets put me off ever having kids. Like, oh god,
yes,
they were like in the pool. I was like, drown them.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They were the
That's
worst.
why oven doors closed. No way. Thank you.
Yeah, the cast I thought was really good. I think everyone was perfectly cast in this show. It was nice and fun and fluffy. I think like the mystery I found a bit intriguing. I wasn't as intrigued as Phil, but I probably would watch more. I could definitely see myself getting into it, but I would say that the first I didn't love it. But I'd still right up there. I mean, it's probably I would say it's probably like right there in the middle for me. It's number 6.
Okay.
But at the same time, I would say it's a high 6.
High
you know,
six, yeah.
and it's based on just the strength of the pilot. I preferred one of the other pilots on this list, but I could easily have seen it swapping around a little bit as well.
So you can see what they're all on about a school, Tom.
Yes, Eva Longoria is very hot, and yeah, Terry Hatcher. You know what? I don't care what age he is. Blah blah blah, as the lad said.
Yeah, I love it.
she'll always be Lois Lane.
I know this is it, you know what I mean? But I think it was a good transition for Desperate Housewives. It was my number 1 as well, funnily enough, right? And for a lot of reasons that Phil has mentioned already, that even though Lost was chaotic in the first episode, right? This was organized chaos. One event led to another, which led to another, which led to another, which led to another. It wasn't just like, oh, what's going on over here? What's going on over there? It was like, they went to the funeral and the twins jumped in the fucking pool, assholes, right? And then, it just flowed better for me, And you know what a huge part of this is? The narration. The narration catches you from the word go, and you want to watch because you're like, oh, and especially the tone and how it's delivered, you can give the worst possible news in the best possible way. It's all down to tone and how you present something or deliver it. But I loved that. I absolutely did. And I can see why everybody was raving about this, because I definitely wanted to watch more of it. Same with Tom, wanted to drown the 3 kids. Cunts, absolute pricks. Like, honestly, do you know what? There you go, kids. Oh my God.
Fuck them kids.
Fuck them kids. Assholes, but I tell you this much. No way, this is why we've a dog, isn't it? It
The
is
dog
like,
who's currently chewing on my toes.
that's different. That's cute.
Sorry,
But
bites.
just, yeah, I loved it. I really, really did. And I wasn't sure if I would. I was like, oh, it's this pure fucking, as you say now, do you know, like wine mom porn, you know, that's what I really was expecting, but it wasn't, you know, so I was happy enough with that. So yeah, Desperate Housewives number 1 on my list. My Desperate Housewife, how did you get on?
Hi, I'm Mary Alice. I'm about to kill myself. Yeah.
That's me. I'm a catch.
Anyway.
Fucking had it.
I enjoyed it for what it was. It wasn't anything. Will you shut up and let me talk?
Sorry, no, I'm sorry.
I enjoyed it for what it was. It wasn't my favorite thing on the list. But it was whimsical, as Tom said. It kind of reminded me of The Burbs, Tom Hanks movie, but you know, without the horror or the family who were chopping up bodies. Even though there's a lot of secrets in Wisteria Lane, and the film location is pretty much the same location as The Burbs. It's a standard American suburb.
Yeah, it's a backlot in California, so they probably use it for everything before this. Like
a lot of TV shows have been used in that street. So it's got that thing about them where, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on behind those closed doors. And I didn't watch all of it when it was out. I did catch some episodes here and there, so I had a grasp of what was going on, and I kind of know what was buried under the pool or what's buried in the back garden or what's going on in the lives of those people and their gardeners. So yeah, it was all right. Like I'd probably watch it again just to figure out what the fuck's going on. Like, but for me, it was number 6.
Number 6. Wow, two 1s and 2 6s.
Interesting side note on it. The director, Mark Cherry, I think it is.
Mark Cherry, yeah.
Revealed that it was actually based on a real event, well, inspired by a real event about a woman.
Wow.
She was convicted of drowning her 5 children.
Cut all those jokes out with the triplets.
They got the inspiration for what goes on behind closed doors or in a street in a standard American suburb. So he based
a standard American suburb. Woman drowned her 5 kids.
Yeah, but she lived in a street like that. I know. And everybody thought she was just a normal housewife, but she went fucking mental and drowned all her kids, like your woman who's about to do it. What was her name? She went to prison, and years later, she's the actress who's the holy Joe perfect wife. She goes spare at the end. Like in this, she's the one who has a perfect house.
Oh,
at the end of that. Felicity Huffman.
Yeah.
She goes to prison in real life after.
Yes, yeah. But isn't that though because I thought that was because she paid off the entrance exams.
No, I'm not saying that's. I'm just saying.
Wait,
that.
no,
You mean in this
prison?
What? You broke up there, Tom.
No, I said I don't remember. Is that the one that went to prison? I thought it was another one.
Oh, it was a different girl that went to prison.
Didn't Felicity Huffman go?
She went to prison for something.
Oh, maybe it is Felicity Huffman. Yeah. Oh, it is Felicity Huffman. Yeah.
I don't know. Was that for paying off entrance exams or something? Or
I think so. Yeah.
That's like the inspiration for a show like this.
Wow.
It's based on a housewife killing her 5 kids who was happy-go-lucky, and everybody thought she was the perfect wife, and then she had a breakdown and killed them all. Fuck them kids. And that's why the kids are jumping into triplets who are in the pool.
Jesus Christ. Fucking hell, we took a dark, sinister turn there, lads. I mean, but you know, it did. It had suicide, surveillance, Stepford Wives, affairs, money.
All those people.
You know, all those kind of stuff won't happen in my house.
Yes. Yes. We all need a lawyer.
Do they all need fucking Boston legal representation, you big prick. Look at him, Locke, you fucker. Imagine taking my little fucking intro like that, like a big thieving prick. Fuck you anyway. Done. So
this
done.
On Desperate Housewives.
Yeah, Jerry was found in the pool. Right, go on.
You have a pool?
That puddle. Yes, moving swiftly on. No, go on now, love. What you think of Boston Legal?
I
Since you
love Boston
fucking know
Legal.
everything.
I absolutely love Boston Legal. I watched this because I was a Trekkie. I was a big William Shatner fan, so I had to watch this. Even though it was a spin-off from the Practice that Jim Spader was in originally, I thought it was a better show than The Practice. Not that I watch much of it. But I loved it. It's like black comedy, really, like, isn't it? It's just
Brilliant.
perfect for a legal drama, which, you know, when you look back then, you know, like the fucking Ally McBeal and other legal shows that were out, like this was complete contrast to those. Even legal shows today, like, you know, we're currently watching SVU, Law and Order SVU, which is so dark, but, you know, fucking
Still watchable.
it's hard to watch because of the stuff that's going on. You're like, but this Boston Legal is like, it's a, you know, complete
A lighter
spin on,
take
like,
on,
more
yeah.
on this similar events like that happen. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm a big Trekkie. And a little teaser that anybody didn't catch on it, but it happens throughout the whole season. Danny Crane's phone, when he answers it, when he picks it up, it's one of the flip phones. 2004 people who had flip phones back then. Every time he opens it, it has the Star Trek comes up when he opens it.
Don't even chat.
Because you wouldn't even notice unless you're listening for it. But like, if you
Yay.
go back and watch one of the episodes when he opens his phone to answer it, it goes.
This
like,
is so
It
good.
was a pure William Shatner moment. He requested to put it into the show just for the
Of
hell
course
of it.
he did. Hashtag Willie in space.
Yeah.
Where did this finish on your list?
This was number 5. Because
Thought you would have had that high.
well, there were some of the other ones were a lot better, but I really thoroughly enjoyed this show. I just had, again, it's one of those nostalgia things, going back and watching old episodes because they do get so much better going out.
Tom, tell us, Boston Legal, is it up your street?
I'm going to be on trial after this one.
Hey!
Hey, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was not in a very shitty mood when I watched this. It didn't do anything for me, really. Like it's just standard legal kind of procedural show. Like, it was grand. I thought the casting somewhat likable. It was cool seeing William Shatner, to be honest. I was kind of like, he's been old forever now, you know.
Yeah.
I was actually, that was the main like takeaway I had from him. I was like, it's 20 years later. How the fuck is he still alive? Like, but yeah,
Since then.
I know, yeah, Jesus, he's holding on to something from space. I think that's the only reason I'm understanding that he's still alive. He looks like he's going to explode all over the screen any moment. But yeah, I don't know. I basically wrote like the show is going to be fairly disposable, and I thought it was. It was fine. It's the sort of thing that if it was on TV, like if this was the era of just channel hopping, probably would watch it if it was on. But I don't think I'd ever seek it out again. It's fine. I just felt it had no teeth, really, I think. So for me, it ended up at number 9, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, send them down.
I'm going to blame Will Smith and Jay-Z for creating Annie with a female African-American lead 10 years after this episode aired, because that was the whole premise of the...
Oh, you want to sang it everybody?
You know, they were looking for an African-American. She wanted to be Annie, but she was African-American in the episode, and they hire her. But then 10 years, literally 10 years
at the time,
Will Smith and Jay-Z made the Annie remake.
Wow. I don't have an awful lot to add. Boston League was number 3 on my list. The reason I liked it is because I liked the way that everybody was underestimating William Shatner, thinking he was losing his mind in it as Danny Crane, but he's actually smarter than all of them. Do you know that kind of a way? I liked that, and I liked the whole. Even though I had an idea of this, I hadn't seen everything, I could tell how almost every episode was going to end. That it was always going to be like a synopsis of the day. Do you know that kind of a way where it's like, you know. In a way, it was a kind of a bit of it's I'd say every episode is a Scooby-Doo ending. Do you know that kind of way where they always have this little bit of a recap kind of a thing? But I did enjoy it, and I would watch more of it. So for me, it was number 3. Phil, Boston Legal, tell us, are you on Team Tom down in the lower half of our top 10?
No, definitely not. I did number 3 as well.
Oh wow, okay.
I actually really liked how
this list is absolutely mental. Like, I swear to Jesus, it looks like a game of fucking Sudoku. I'm looking at it.
I get the feeling my number 1 is going to be that how I'm going to feel this exactly when I get my number 1 in a minute. I think everyone's going to be like 10, 7. Yeah.
I liked the documentary kind of thing. It felt a lot like a lot of it was handheld. I like this kind
Yeah.
of movie. Yeah, I like the writing, and I remember I took a note. I really liked the writing in this. I thought it was very funny in the right spots, and also very tragic in other
Yes.
spots.
Yes.
Yeah. And also all those. I know that guy. I know that guy. It's like what do I know them from?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. The guy Shatner was talking to. I know he died recently enough.
I know who you're on about. Yeah.
Which
It
like,
was
He's in so many movies over the years.
which one are you talking?
the guy who
Where he's
The older man. The older man.
yeah,
He's
who
sleeping
was
with his wife?
having the affair, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
There's
Him,
so
him,
many
back,
movies.
back,
I
back.
just don't know his name.
Rennie Auberjonois. He was in like The Patriot with Mel Gibson and fucking
Yes.
Heath
Very
Ledger.
good. I really, really enjoyed it, and I suppose like with yourselves, I same as you. Really, it was really good.
Mm.
Nice. And I really like the documentary. I don't know. I love when I see things like that. I'm like, this is a nice change of pace from all the other stuff we were watching.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that I think that's fair enough. And as you said as well, it is a little hard in places as well though, and you can tell that there's going to be some very true to life things coming up down the road, and you know it's gonna
Even the opening sequence with the mental health and
yes.
all that stuff. Yeah, it's just yeah. I was pleasantly surprised by it because I did not think I was going to like it at all.
Mm. Interesting. I can't get over this list. It's absolutely nuts. The numbers are just everywhere. Oh God, speaking of everywhere, we are going to career into something that, in my opinion, could be dead in the water. We're going to head over to Minnesota. Did anybody here have lots of high props for Deadwood? Or is it just me?
Okay,
That
I'm
didn't.
slightly worried where this is going to go.
I'm kidding.
Okay, I'm getting ready to draw my fucking guns here, man.
I
I'm
don't
going
like
to go to
Western.
bat for Deadwood.
Go on, go for it.
This was the only show I'd actually seen a good chunk of beforehand. I love Deadwood. I think, like, as a show, it is fantastic. I think from a writing perspective, the language is amazing. Just like as far as the delivery of speeches and the lines, not just the swearing, which is also amazing. That's like a second language in the town of Deadwood. It's awesome. The cast, I think the cast is like one of the best cast shows ever. It's like a thing now where if you look at that cast and if people don't know, like now, it's people that you know from back in the day. Dorf is in an episode, is in the show, who's like the voice of Chucky. He's in Lord of the Rings. Loads of other people. Ian McShane, Timothy Oliphant. There's other people that's in small roles that you're like, if you click into them, they're all these amazing character actors. I find it so weird to say like Lost is like the expensive pilot when you look at this and you're like, whoa, this feels more cinematic to me than Lost did. I think that it's just such an authentic world, and the fact that it's steeped from real history is really interesting to me as well. Like most of these people have a real life counterpart.
Mm-hmm.
I would be, I'd be shocked if anyone gives it a really low score based on just the opening scene alone. Like, how can you look at that opening scene where he confronts the whole town as the outgoing sheriff, and hangs a man by himself as he leaves to go to an even more lawless place? That's fucking amazing.
Which actually happened. He actually did
exactly
that.
And that's the thing. You watch all these parts of the show and you're like, wow, that's crazy, that could never happen. And then you're like,
yeah,
oh shit, that happened.
in his biography, his autobiography that was written by his family, that was actually part of it, that he had he'd done that a few times where he hung people in front of the
victors, as they say. So you never know. But
raiding.
Look, I thought it was a really good show. I'm a fan of the show. I intend to go back and finish it at some point, but but yeah, I for me it's number one. I'm slightly worried. I'm looking at a lot of people with glassy-eyed expressions, so I think it's going down in flames. But I'll always rep Deadwood. I think it's amazing. I'm not going to unleash a load of profanity on you, even though I think you deserve it. If you're thinking bad, I'll be like Al Swearingen as soon as people come in. You know, I'm not going to say the sucker word, but I think some people might deserve it if they give it a bad list.
I'm on your side, Tom. I'm on your side.
Good.
I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for westerns. So I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I know why Liz didn't like it. I know one major reason why she didn't like it, but that didn't really sway me in the
I didn't like it.
I
have no poker face at all.
Really? I thoroughly enjoy. I love films like The Young Guns and stuff like that. I love this actual origin stories or hearing stories about people who actually existed in the Wild West and things they got up to. Like, so this was like a mashup of loads of different characters from the Wild West who were real. Like, Wild Bill. Like, everybody's heard the name Wild Bill in their life, I'm sure. There's been plenty of movies about him, so they get somebody who's obviously not the 28-year-old or whatever he was when he died. The actor obviously wasn't that age when he was playing him, but it was nice to see him represented in a TV show that's not just a movie about him being a killer, and the fact that he wasn't a killer most of the time, he was actually killing bad guys. So I really like the origin stories of a lot of the characters in it, and getting a lot, like you said, there's the cast in it was phenomenal. Originally, I think the idea for the show was actually going to be set in ancient Rome, but because HBO had already started production on the Rome series, they
had Rome.
They had switched it to the Wild West as opposed to ancient Rome. So the concept of the show would have been something like the show was, but just set in ancient Rome instead of the Wild West. So they brought a lot of the real life people who, Julius Caesar and Maximus and all these people, they would have been based on them. So they decided to switch it all to these Wild West characters. Some of them probably never even interacted before at all, ever, because it's only set in one little town in the middle of nowhere where the Wild West was wild and massive, and a lot of cowboys or people like that probably never interacted before in their lives and probably would have killed each other if they had been in the same room. So Ian McShane is, back then I remember when the show debuted and Ian McShane was in it, and I was like, oh, what? Lovejoy is in this?
Yeah.
It's like,
he'll never break free from Lovejoy.
No, he will never break free from Lovejoy. I don't know if the lads ever seen Lovejoy. We used to watch.
I have no idea who Lovejoy is. To me, he'll never break away from being Al Swearingen. Like
basically, Lovejoy is like Antiques Roadshow, but he's an investigator.
Yeah,
he's an investigative fucking antiques dealer. It was like Murder She Wrote in England. But
is that like the 80s? Is it?
Yeah, 80s, 90s. Yeah, it was always on BBC on a Sunday. Like, so you're watching.
Yeah, no, my dad watched it all the time. I watched it as well.
And like he was famous because of it. Like, yeah,
it was the lead.
He wasn't even.
Oh God, I just looked that up.
You're gonna love it.
He wasn't.
Oh my God.
He wasn't supposed to be in this. He wasn't even supposed to be in the show. So it was cool that I actually got it, and then became the big star in America that he became after the show. Because
wasn't he in John Wick afterwards as well?
Yeah, after, like he became a massive star after this. Like,
which was really weird.
Yeah,
I found that really strange. Like, what a transition.
Like I think the original actor, I can see his face as Powers Booth, I think is his name.
Oh yeah, he was in.
Oh, he's in the show as well though.
He gets a.
He's like he becomes the rival guy, isn't it? Yeah.
He actually fell ill.
I remember hearing that actually, right?
He was casting it. He fell ill and couldn't start the show. So Ian McShane auditioned for the part. But he auditioned with an American accent, and the director actually thought he was American. He said, "That's what we need. We need an authentic American." And they didn't tell him that he was actually English. So,
oh my God!
That he deceived him at the part. And obviously, your man Powers Booth comes back and gets a recurring role afterwards because he missed out in the part. But
isn't that mad? That is so weird. You know what's not weird? This was down at number 10 on my list, right? I know now. Tom was like, "What's wrong with this bitch?" This bitch.
Diddly eye.
Right? Where was in your list, love?
Oh, sorry. Number 2.
Number 3. Number 2 in your... But yeah, right? And let me tell you why, okay? I'm so glad you mentioned the opening scene, Tom, right? Because I saw that and I thought, Jesus Christ. And I was like, I was ready for this, man. I was like, oh my God. But then, for me, it just went to pot. There's parts of it that I hadn't a fucking clue of what was.
He's rightfully distancing himself from you.
You know what I mean? It's not the first time.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
There's just after that, then I had absolutely no fucking clue what was going on. We went to this big, huge parade of people leaving town, and this woman who was so try hard to be I spit in the bucket, you know, and I was just like, I felt like I was watching an amateur play when I was watching her. I did, because she was so fucking try hard to be the cowgirl or cowboy who's not a cowgirl, and she's one of the guys, and you know, oh, you better not cross Missy here. And I was just like, fuck me. And then it was like, from that, then I heard, we're going back to Minnesota. When I heard that, then I thought, oh my God, she says Minnesota, how I say Minnesota. And that kind of freaked me out then, because I wasn't sure she'd nailed my accent unintentionally, because I was just like, this is so fucking diddly. It's terrible. Do mind your man in the bar who was drunk and pretended to be drunk and not drunk, and then got more money and didn't get any money, but then got some money and then got killed. Right? And that was one aside from all the other squillion fucking things that were going on. Then there was like chaps being sold for $10, and it was just like, there was just so much, there was just way too much going on in this for me. And then this New York fella shows up with his missus, and then she's pretending to be asleep, and he leaves, and she's looking out the window, and she's like, and I'm just like, right, okay, I need to take a fucking beat. It was just so, for me, it was just so busy in such a Western setting. I was like, this is like EastEnders in the Mojave Desert. It was just, I can't even, it was just a fucking lot going on, right? That's all I can say. It was just a lot for this pretty little head to take, right? Weak for me. You know what's that meme when they all say, like, you know, he says he thinks I'm pretty psychotic, and you're like, all I heard was pretty. Right? But anyway, it doesn't matter. That just made me laugh when I saw it, because I can relate so much. But so yeah, there was just a fucking shit ton going on, and it was just too much for me. Ted, Phil, me on me Todd here.
I'm actually in the middle.
Of course you are. You splinter.
Pick a side, Phil. Pick a side.
I have it as
Phil, splinters in your arse. Come on.
I have it as 4.
Number 4.
And that's only because of Ian McShane, because he's so good in it.
Yeah.
If he wasn't in this, I'd be down by 8. I think I really would go that low. I think he's that good in it. The opening scene is amazing. It's a bit. I got a bit lost halfway through it. I same with Liz. I didn't know what was going on and what. I'm not a huge Western fan either. So I was definitely kind of like, what's going on here in a lot of places, but it's definitely better than some of the other ones down the list. The other thing as well I took note of, it was a bit long.
Yes.
I thought it was too long.
Yes.
I think it was 1:10, was it, or something like that?
It was past the hour, definitely, but agreed.
Yeah.
Just over an hour, yeah.
Like I'm going to watch more because I want to see what happens with a thing. But I did take a note that I did see Kenny, the cameraman from Scream, which is quite funny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This show is full of like, oh, that actor in this, like, I think like the 3rd or 4th episode has Kristen Bell in it, like, as well.
Yes.
And there's a movie,
which is handy for a transition. Yeah, they made a movie. They said they were going to make a movie for years, and then they made it like 13 years after the show ended. Like, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever heard anyone compare Deadwood to EastEnders, but there you go.
In the Mojave Desert, excuse me.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to sell it short. Yeah.
Just before we move on, just a little inkling, like the Wild West, like that's based on towns that used to pop up around gold mines, and people stuff that was going on in the show. If it was a bit mashed up, I understand why you're a bit confused of what's going on. Is the towns were just being built as people settled there. They were just moving from all over the east. They were just fleeing there, and wherever they stopped, they settled. They would literally kill each other for a fucking piece of gold, because it was worth so much back then, and that was currency. There was no cash. There was nothing. That was what you had. If you fucking came from New York with money, you were a target. You were buying up. A lot of rich fucking aristocrats were buying up a lot of fucking land in the West, and they were suffering for it. So a lot of them fled back to the East Coast after all the wild fucking cowboys went killing people and all the Indians.
But you know what? If they focused on just that and got that through to me and beat me over the head with it, there was bits of it here that, but I felt it jumped too much. If it was just that And then same as Lost, you know, we've everything in the first one to grab you. If there was just that and then other stuff started leaking in and all this, then I probably would have been more invested. But I just felt like I was just being slapped in the face by so many Mickeys. I didn't know what was going on. Do you know what I mean? That kind of no, you
leave poor Calamity Jane alone. She was a real person as well.
Yeah, geez. The estate of Calamity Jane is going to come after us, like.
Lads, fucking hell. Like, hashtag never forget.
So we're probably not going to do top 10 westerns anytime soon, anyone. Probably not.
Do a top 10 western.
Well, Calamity Jane's a western, a musical western from the 60s.
That's right, isn't it? Yeah.
Anvil, is that Anvil Goes West or
Fievel?
Fievel.
Fievel Goes West. Yeah. If that makes top 10 westerns, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, let's do 10 westerns because they couldn't be as bad as
top 10 westerns that don't include John Wayne or Clint Eastwood.
Oh, come on now. You love a good
they've done about 200 each.
They have. But look, let's see.
The Searchers is probably the best western ever made. So
what's it called? The Searchers?
Searchers.
All right.
John Wayne.
Well, leading from the Searchers as to where they should have looked a little bit closer. Lads, very, very strange one. The Staircase.
Yeah.
This caused a lot of controversy when it came out first. Okay. And I think this was almost the flagship show for the birth of internet sleuth, right? Which we know, like everyone's an internet sleuth these days, but I think this show kind of kicked it into another gear where everybody was an investigator, everybody could solve a crime, everybody knew what happened, and somebody knew more than what this other person knew, and and this kind of shit. This show really did divide a nation, right? But maybe in a really good way. How I explain that any further, I'm not really sure, but I'll come back to it. We'll start with yourself this time, love. Sorry, the dog's barking at someone on the telly. It's probably a horse.
There's a horse on TV.
Is there a horse on the TV? Right, there we go. Just does not stand horses. Oh, great fun watching the top 10 westerns, what? So, but yeah, honestly, poor Jerry can't watch. What's that thing in the thing that you try and watch? Yellowstone. Jerry can't watch Yellowstone. Dog was ballistic. So, but yeah, dear, The Staircase. What's your take on this? I'm interested.
I wish I fucking fell down the stairs watching it, to be honest.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was just.
I'm the same.
Yeah, I just.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it did nothing for me at all, to be honest. I didn't watch it. I tried to watch it before, not when it first came out, but years ago when it first came on the Netflix.
Yeah, I remember that.
2000, probably about 10 years ago, was it? It was like a big thing because
it's about 2013, I think.
Yeah, because they had a sequel to it, like they made more episodes, basically added on more episodes after fucking he had an appeal that was rejected, and then he had another appeal, and then eventually got free in 2017 or something, whenever his time was served and whatever. But like, I tried to watch it when it first came out on Netflix, and I just couldn't get into it at all. And watching it again, I just like the first episode. It's just like bullshit. Like really, like isn't it? It's like
it's so
all happened, but it's all happened so like quickly. Like how did the camera crew end up in his house after that close? Like everything just happened. Like it just seems so fucking put on. Like it's like, did he actually? Is this real? Like is this just we watch wrestling? Like our belief system is fucking beyond anybody else's. If you're a wrestling fan, like
we can stretch.
You can understand when things are fake. Like most TV shows these days, most reality TV shows, everything is fake these days, right? Fucking everything is scripted. Everything is planned out by the producers. They want certain things to be said in every TV show. So this just seems like it was just all planned from the get-go. Like how did these French filmmakers end up in your man's house after he murdered his wife? Like, how did they even get into the house? How did they get involved in the investigation? Like, these cameras were following around from the day, the day or two after the fucking murder happened. It was just like, how is this even allowed to happen? Why is this legal team allowing him to film all this shit? Like, is he just incriminating himself for the first episode? It's like, what a load of bullshit.
I love the amount of questions you have. You're like, how and why and fucking
this is like a whole new series. This is like unwinding the staircase, like a conspiracy theory, like show, like why did it happen, who was behind it.
how the fuck did the camera crew get them so soon and then make a fucking 10-episode documentary and 3 sequels and fucking whatever
But
else?
to be fair, the episodes were yearly spread out. They were spread out.
Yeah, but like they were with him, like the fucking bloodstains were still on the wall in the house. They were fucking practicing the noises from the garden into the house and doing all this shit when the camera crew was there. I was like, how did these people from France end up in this house in wherever it was, Los Angeles or wherever the fucking the house is set?
You should be a sleuth.
How?
You should.
So like I was just like, nah, not interested. It's
Yeah,
like,
I would think that's it.
it's like Tiger King, get me back the fucking Tiger King.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What an
Sure.
eye-opener. That was what we should, 10 releases during lockdown.
There you
That's
go.
something we should look at because Tiger King approached me in a completely different way. I'm not right after it still. Where was this in your list, my love?
Actually, not far off the top
7.
7. Because there was a
Staircase,
couple of I
7.
really hated, including Trump.
Cool. Staircase. Tom, do you wish you fell down the staircase watching this? Have you any answers to Jerry's multiple questions? Why were the French filmmakers inside in the house? What's going on? Is it a conspiracy?
I don't want to get implicated in this conspiracy,
Because Jerry's going to start
Hang on a
questioning you,
minute.
bud.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't turn the screws of me. Yeah, I plead the fifth. Oh God! Oh, I've said too much. I've got to go.
And you would have got away with it.
Do you know what's weird? I actually have it at number 7 as well, but I'm a lot more positive on it. I don't know. I could be wrong because I've never seen this before. I'd heard about it, and when Making a Murderer was a thing, everyone was like, "Oh, what's the staircase? Is the next one?" Or And I do kind of like these true crime things in like small doses. I'm not like one of these crazy true crime podcast people. I've watched The Jinx, I watched Making a Murderer, and I watched some of the other ones. And I find it interesting, but I kind of does maybe seem like it's a case where better things have come along since, as far as the production side of it. Or maybe it's a case that other people have stolen ideas from this. I don't know, but I kind of felt like it was very dry as a first episode. I also didn't realize they released an episode a year until just now. That's fascinating. That would make me watch, since it's a year of build up every time.
Yeah.
But there's nothing really at the end of the episode that made me go, "Oh, I want to watch more." It's in there. It is interesting. I did have the same kind of observation of, man, it's weird how much access we're getting to the crime scene and all this thing. I found that interesting. I also wrote it's probably like the most graphic of a true crime series I can imagine. Like it's pretty up there. Like they're showing a very graphic crime scene pose and stuff. So I was kind of surprised by that as well. The only thing that gave me a bit of levity was when your man kept describing, like he kept like being like, there's like wounds on this woman's head, which is horrible and really graphic.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, if you imagine a watermelon, and he kept coming back to the fucking watermelon. I'm like, it's not a watermelon, dude. Move on. He's like, you see, if it was cracked here, if it was a water, he said like that like so many times. I was like, it's not a watermelon though. Come on, move on. Like I would watch more of it. Maybe not urgently. But yeah, it was a little bit plodding. I think like if this were made now, they wouldn't mess around with the edit, so that there was some real hook to get you to watch the next episode, which is what even Tiger King did. Tiger King, the first episode ends, I'm sure, where it's like, oh, I'm in prison. Oh, and you're like, how do you end up in prison? I have to watch. This side was like, oh, okay, it's nothing solved there, nothing. I guess the case just keeps going. It doesn't really give me that urgency to watch. I thought it was fine for what it was, but yeah, it's a number 7 for me.
Cool. Number 7 and another number 7 for me. It was number 5. All of the questions that you had were the reason I wanted to watch the next episode. If I missed it, I wouldn't have been devastated over it, but I would have liked to know what happened next. So I thought there was a lot of questions that needed to be answered. I also picked up on the watermelon as well. And then after about literally, God forbid me, beating him over the head with the watermelon, it was like, I don't think he needs to hear this. And I'm like, he's got people wandering around his house with blood all over the walls, pointing it out to them. And he's like, he doesn't need to hear about how his wife died. And his literally next to the picture of the blood. You know what I mean? So I was kind of like, this is really weird. But because it was so weird, it made me want to watch it again. And you know what I felt like it was looking at? A Netflix series before, as you were saying, Tom, before they edited it. It was like the raw footage before all of the bells and whistles. You know what I mean? It's like, it's your Christmas tree before we put the decorations on. Woo! We're into July, into the second half of the year. Woo! So yeah, this came in at number 5 in the middle of the road for me, but it was definitely interchangeable within from 5 down to 8. It could have been any of one of them, you know. There was quite a few of those in there. Phil,
Just did absolutely nothing for me as well.
lovely.
9. I put it as 9.
9, wow, okay.
Basically, I thought that this was 40 something minutes, but could have easily been 15.
Phil, where was traffic for you?
Traffic was, where was it? 9.
So wait,
No,
are you
8.
8 was traffic, right? Cool. Sorry, I was taking that down wrong. Yeah, sorry. Go on. So it done nothing for you.
Nothing for me. I thought it was too slow, and I don't know do I even want to watch any more of it. So I don't know. And also as well, like I don't know the whole story, but did he actually get away with it?
No.
No.
He went to prison. He served time. He had a couple of appeals, and then there was another one in like 2017 where he won some appeal, or there's some other legal term on it. But it came back to he was still guilty of something, but his time served was enough for the judge to set him free.
Wasn't there? I think it's this. There's this case. I think is the one where there was a mad theory floated that like an owl might have hit her in the back of the head. Yeah,
Maybe he threw a watermelon at her.
He carried.
yeah, that guy knew too much. There was because I remember like I was saying this to your friend. I listened to like some podcast before where it was like little 10-minute kind of things, and it was telling me this thing about a woman who got hit by the head with an owl or something and fell down the stairs. And I said this to a friend, and he was like, "That's the staircase." I was like, "What do you mean that's the staircase?" I don't know. I mean, if there's an episode where they bring up the owl theory, that's the one I want to watch.
Maybe that was what she said. Ow!
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Also, the family didn't. The fake tears were bad.
It was so fake.
Yeah, it was so
Love
bad.
bollocks.
They're allowed. They're given a dramatic liberty, love.
There, he's sitting at home now watching the staircase. It's still real to me.
Damn it. Wow. So a lot of investigation went on in the staircase. You know, a lot of questions been asked, definitely for Jerry. You know who else was asking a lot of questions? Veronica Mars. Lads. Student by day. Solving crime at night.
Investigator.
PI at night. There
I'd
we
like
go.
you to investigate my privates.
I think I'd like this actually eventually.
Lethal Weapon 4 it was on our list last year. Lethal Weapon 4 when Danny DeVito, fucking Joe Pesci and Chris Rock and Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember.
Private investigator. I would like you to
Weapon.
Investigate my
It was
private.
10 on my list. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I
well,
remember.
Veronica Mars is 10 on my list.
Tom, oh no, you didn't. Oh,
I know. I see your box. I see the box set up there. I'm not sure if you bought it just for this or you actually bought it because you liked it.
Lads, the drams. Phil, get the popcorn.
I'll answer all in a second if you want.
I went first the last time, so if you want me to bash the shit out of it.
Okay. Yeah, I bought these actually a long time ago. They were like for some reason on like an Irish site. These are American releases. They also work with Irish DVD players. I don't know why. I also have the third season somewhere, which I found at a thrift shop in America. I'd never watched the show, even though I own it until now. So, I actually really liked it. I thought it was kind of fun. Thought Kirsten Bell was very, very likable in it. And I feel like I liked the tone of the show. I thought it was kind of fun and popcorny, but also had a degree of drama to it and darkness, which is kind of what you want with a noir thing. And I think that because of that, really nailed its genre of like teen noir. And I thought that was really good. I liked the supporting cast. I just thought, I thought it was quite refreshing and crisp, like as a show. It definitely felt like, something they put on the double bill with like Buffy or something. Kind of felt like something that would work in that context, I don't think I was meant to be the target audience for it, but I enjoyed it. I actually do want to see more of it. So based on that, number 4. I don't have a lot to say in it, but I quite liked it. I kind of liked the tone of the whole thing. So number 4 for me.
Number 4. Wow. Phil? Did Veronica grasp you? Did she? Did she drag you in?
You know what? I actually think I'm going to like this once I continue watching it. I put it at 7.
Okay.
I think it was decent, but it just felt off. I don't know what it was. I just didn't really. I wasn't really. I liked the stuff with the father, the daughter. I didn't like the stuff with the lads bullying. I thought that was a bit cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was a mixed bag, but I think this could be really good show if I continue watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something there, but I don't think this highlighted it in the best way. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no.
I kind of also assumed all that cheese was intentional. That's what that's my kind of thing. Like if it's not intentional, then yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. I didn't think that was that way. I was like, oh man, it's like meant to be cheesy high schoolers and also dark noir. I was like, ooh, I like that. I like that mix. Maybe it wasn't intentional.
Dark.
We have to do further investigation.
Yeah, totally. This was number 6 on my list. For many reasons that have been mentioned already. And not to what Tom said as well. I like that it wasn't your straight up Saved by the Bell. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't your bubblegum teenage stuff that throws in and out serious issue now and then because it kind of feels like it needs to. There was a little bit of dark truths. There was a little bit of darkness to it, but I think now I was kind of like, there was parts that I was like, you're helping your dad and you're a private eye. I was like, oh, it's a bit of a stretch for me. That said, the reason I have it at 6 on my list is because 15-year-old me is dying and living for her. Do you know what I mean? So I would have loved it if I was watching it at the right time, in my life, like, which was 10 years ago. So if I was watching it 10 years ago,
I think if I watched it in 2004, I would love it.
Yeah, exactly. I would have been like, fab, brilliant altogether. This is really, really good. And it would have been something I would have come home from school and watched right after Ready, Steady, Cook. I'm a big fan of that too. Love Daisy Harriet cooking. So, do you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Used to shake on all. So, I would have been right there. So, but yeah, I definitely would have watched it, time appropriate, if it was time appropriate. So, wow, this list, lads, I cannot wait to calculate this.
This is going to be a shit show of a list.
So mixed, do you know what I mean? It's literally, there's just like, we won't be well after walking away from this, I don't think, Speaking of walking away, where else would you walk away? Only down a runway. A Project Runway. Project Runway. I'm going to go first on this one, right? Okay. Bitch, please, you go.
Not another reality elimination show. Number 8. Out.
Oh wow! Right, fair enough.
It's a no.
That was a quick walk down the catwalk.
No for me.
Yeah,
there was something that bugged me about the girl they fired. I don't know. I don't understand why I know she was late, but like you'd be completely dropped from your agency.
I think that happened before that's why she was late. I think because she was dropped.
No, her alarm never went off.
Was she dropped because she was late?
Yeah.
All right. I thought she was
late.
I thought she was late because she was dropped from her agency and she couldn't make it on time.
Yeah.
But she was the model later in the episode,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's what I mean.
She hired back, definitely. Jesus, that's another show altogether.
I think
who was the eventual winner? If she wasn't the eventual winning model, right?
I have no idea.
Does a model win as well? I didn't realize that.
Well,
or is it just
you're paired up with that model for the rest of the season, aren't you?
Oh right, I looked up the winner. I can't remember. It was the guy with the crazy hair. I think.
Oh, the blonde hair, the glasses.
Why with the fur cap?
No, not that guy. No, like I think that person. Actually, I think the person with the model came maybe second. Okay. The blondie kind of guy who looked like a vampire.
Oh,
he came third. And the guy who looked like a roadie who said he used to work in porn, I think, came first. I think.
Porn, yeah.
Yeah. Like again, actually, it's a problem that Phil kind of mentioned there is kind of one of the problems I have with this, which is that I just couldn't relate to any of the problems they were having. Like like where it'd be like, oh, my corn husk doesn't look fresh enough. I was like,
there's nothing worse.
Dose, I suppose. Bad day for you. Or my model is late. I was like, all right, okay, and then I like. The most reality TV setup ever, where she's looking around people on the street. That was the biggest laugh it got out of me, actually, because I was like, "Oh, this is so staged," and they're going to find some beautiful woman on the street, and she's like, "Yeah, of course I'll help you." But straight away, your one is like, "No,"
because it's fake, it's scripted.
That might have been That might have been the biggest laugh I got out of any of the shows because I was like, here we go now, here we go. And she was like, yeah, Heidi Klum. And I was like, yeah. No, not interested, love. I don't want to be a model. Get that camera out of my face.
Well, here,
Yeah.
saying a word, you can be on the show at least, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I thought it was funny. Like, look, I kind of had this show mixed up as well. I was thinking of like America's Top Model. I thought it was about models instead of designers. But like it was very, very 2000s. Especially like there's one guy says like that chick is like sex on legs, and I was like, ugh, check that guy's hard drive. But you know, I couldn't get invested in the drama of the show, as I said. I liked the creativity side of it, but I also feel like the problem was that it was such a personality-driven show that I didn't feel like I got enough about the creativity, like what was going into their designs. And I feel like even when they asked about it at the end, it was very rushed. Like I used to watch a show like this that was about special effects designs. And it was the same kind of concept, but it was interesting because you got to see what went into their designs, why they picked those designs. Whereas this felt very much like, and they're making a dress. Oh, this was corn. This is bins. Whereas I wanted more of that. I don't look. I'm never going to watch it again. It was number 10 for me. I didn't really enjoy it. It wasn't. I don't think it was offensively bad either. I think like it's just this is not normally a kind of a show I would watch. And yeah, it could have been done better. It didn't really appeal to me in general. And I had it, to be fair, it had an uphill battle for me in general. So yeah, it was fine. Number 10, I guess.
Fair point. Fair point. I'll have to get there. Phil, were you blown away by the runway?
The exact same as Tom 10. It's not like I just thought it was again the same thing I said before. It was too much of the same old thing, and it was just. Also, as well, shocked faces when they went into the supermarket. Come on,
Yeah.
A supermarket.
Also, as well, there the fella with the glasses, the blondie fella.
Yeah.
His eyes were mental. I don't know. I just took note of it because it looked like his serial killer eyes.
To be honest,
he did look like a vampire. Like.
Yeah. Yeah.
They really did. Like some of them were just so fucking weird.
Some of the dialogue as well, like if you don't smoke and you're a stylist or something, it was like weird.
Yeah.
It was sign of the times.
Yeah, it was heavily staged, and this came in at number 8 for me only because 10 was taken up at Deadwood, right? But what saved this for me and put it at number 8 was
just let's just listen to that sentence. Project Runway 8, Deadwood 10.
Right? Right. I just thought I'd finish off your Thursday nicely, Tom. But you know why? Because this is very audience specific for me, right? Because I'm a very, very crafty person. You know, I will make something from nothing. I'm a knitter. I'm a stitcher. I'm a cricutter.
I'm a midnight talker. Play
music in the. What is that?
What?
Playing my music in the sun. That's what it was, yeah. But yeah, so for me, like the blue dress was just for me out of this world. Like that was made out of a garden chair, which was blue, and something else, and it was so high fashion, and I was like, why the fuck didn't that blue dress win? This is phenomenal. And that I was like, oh my god, that I would have fast forwarded every episode to the end to see what they'd made. But I would have loved to see it as, not to Thompson, more the creative process. Like, how do you turn a garden chair into a haute couture dress? I was just thought that was amazing. Do you know, I would have loved to know that, and what does she use, and where does she get it, and how can I make one? Do you know what I mean? I used to make tops out of jeans and everything, do you know? So for me, this was like, oh, brilliant. Heidi Klum, fuck me, right? Nothing to do with her accent or anything like that, but Jesus Christ almighty, I was like, can you take any longer between your fucking sentences? I just felt like I was watching Heidi after watching a marathon of America's Next Top Model, where Tyra is so dramatic, right? And she smizes, hashtag Tyra smize. I love Tyra smize. It's brilliant. You smile with your eyes. But if you look up smize, which you're going to probably do now, that's not what comes up. You will get pictures of Tyra, but it will also explain something else that might not be as PG. Hence why I'm not going into it. The reason being is because one of my colleagues at work, we joke about it a lot. So look at Tom furiously looking up Smize.
Absolutely, yeah. You're trying to warn us against it. And you just made it so I have to look it up.
Do not look up Smize.
Urban Dictionary.
Oh God!
And it's SMIZE in case. Oh,
but do not bring the workshop.
That was that. Oh, you have your eye out, kid.
Delete that fucking. You're going to be sacked from your fucking job.
Incognito with folks. Incognito.
Yeah. So
Jesus.
Smize is Tyra Banks is smiling with your eyes. That's all it is. Nothing else at all. And there's nothing in the Urban Dictionary about it. So yeah, aside from that, yeah, F5 on my list. Okay, so
I've got a perfect transition. Ready?
Yes.
If you do get a Smize, you might want to go to Dr. House.
Yeah.
Hey. Don't Google it.
Amazing. House. I'm happy to clear House and kick off House. Finish up the list with House. This is like super popular, right? I hadn't seen House, I'd heard of it, but this is a super popular show, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, right, cool. So I'm unsure. So it's a super popular show. That's why I was really looking forward to hearing about it, because I know Iman is like pig ignorant. So I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna love him straight away, because ignorance and all that kind of thing. You really want to love to hate somebody, but also have some kind of an underlying storyline or multiple underlying storylines to go along with it to grab you. I put this as my number 4. And I really, really thought this was going to be vying for my top spot, right? The reason it's not at my top spot, right? I love the whole thing. Do you know what I mean? It's a begrudging doctor. He's begrudgingly a doctor, right? But he's just because he has to do all the mediocre shit that comes with being like a doctor, or comes with being a doctor. Do you know, that I'd imagine our own doctors are like, oh, here we fucking go again. She's got another sniffle. I can't deal with it. Or she's got another wart in her hole. Oh my God. And I totally get that, right? But I expected the first episode to be better. And the reason I'm saying that is because I thought he should have been portrayed a lot stronger in the pilot episode, right? Not that he wasn't. He was, but it just wasn't enough for me. I just felt that there was way too many misdiagnoses for him to be the genius, for him to be, like the boss, the head of the hospital, about as believable now as having a bad curry and not a shite afterwards, right? It just wasn't believable enough. It was very like, oh God damn it, he's our best doctor. And then she's like, oh, you got to do your rounds and you got to do your clinic, and like, oh, we can't fire him because he's the best goddamn doctor we have. And like, he got a fucking round 3 times, one girl. He's supposed to be a specialist in this field, and then he eventually got it right. And I was like, no, he should have been straight out the bat an ignorant fucker who was putting out fires left, right, and center, and then something went wrong where we try and doubt him. That would have hooked me in. I don't know. He wasn't presented strong enough for me in the pilot episode. Would I watch more? Probably, but I just thought it was a little bit no. So yeah, okay.
Funny because that's exactly how I felt. The exact same.
No way! Oh my God, I was like, I'm going to get fucking slaughtered because
I have this at 6. I put it at 6.
Did you? Wow. Okay. Phil.
There's also really weird. I don't know if you noticed the Sandy effect.
Orange.
Yeah.
Like a sepia filter.
That was only on the pilot episode. It wasn't on any other.
Is there a reason?
Really?
Is there a reason for it?
No, they were just testing something out. So I think probably something to do with the patient who had the orange shit in them. They were like trying to.
It was nice to see Omar Epps as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought it was the exact same as you. There was just, again, something was missing. I actually thought I was going to put this as very high.
Yeah.
Love it. Like, people really, really love it.
Look at these 2 bitches dying to jump in. Look at these 2 bitches here. Look sharpening their nails now, ready for the catfight of their fucking life. I got you, boo. I've got your back.
You've got me pegged wrong a little bit here, I think. I had seen this show before, and what actually put me off it was that I watched maybe the first 3 or 4 episodes, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll get the first season on DVD, and then I was like, oh, every episode is the exact fucking same. Literally every episode is what this episode is. So I would say don't watch more if you didn't like this episode. It's always a case that patient comes in, they have a guest, they don't really get anywhere. Second episode, they do something that's against the books and against all odds. Then eventually, the last act will be something happens where, oh, eureka, it's this. And this is something that, like, House is such an unlikable asshole. Like, he's slightly worse in the pilot, I think, than in other episodes. But in this one, he's literally just like, oh, you're all idiots. And it's like, what is it, Dr. House? I have to go. I can't tell you what it is. He treats everyone like a dickhead and then doesn't know himself. He just comes up with all these outlandish theories. I'm sure there's some episodes where he genuinely knows what's wrong with the patient and then just leaves it to the end to be like, that's right, I did this. He's just this weird, all-knowing god of a character. He's Sherlock Holmes, you know, as a doctor. It's, you know, again, if there was channel hopping in the world still, I would probably watch it. Again, I don't have that box set on my shelf anymore. You'll notice, as I just said, I got rid of it because I'm like, it's the exact same thing every time. How is there 8 seasons of this show? You know, and I've heard that there is larger teams and stuff come into it eventually, but I don't know. He's just like, it's fine. I think Hugh Laurie is good in the role. I like his kind of supporting of doctors who, you know, is very diverse series of doctors. You know, he's got doctors from Australia. He's got a doctor who's got street smarts according to him. He's got a pretty doctor according to him. It's like, okay, so he's just a dickhead. But since he's a dickhead, I guess we leave him off with it. But yeah, like, it's, for me, it's at number 5. It's a fine show to just throw on, but I don't think it's like amazing television or anything. You know, it's just standard network drama with, I guess, a little bit of edge because House is such a dickhead.
Yeah. Totally agreed. Look at Jerry now. Look at Jerry.
There's only one number next, and it's number 1. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I did watch this when it was out. I'm a big Hugh Laurie fan. I was watching Blackadder and Fry and Laurie shows when I was growing up. So I was, again, like Ian McShane, growing up watching him and Lovejoy, getting to see a comedian do a serious role, even though he's kind of like, it's kind of a comedic role, being the dickhead that he is. But I actually loved him being the dickhead, the Sherlock Holmes character, because Sherlock Holmes relies heavily on Watson to solve his cases and still takes all the credit. So they have the Wilson character in this, who is basically the Watson character from Sherlock Holmes, who does help him. Like, if you watch, I know Tom's telling you not to watch every episode because they're all the same, but Sherlock Holmes is an iconic character, and Watson doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. And Wilson in this series, doesn't get as much credit as he should, because House takes all the credit because it's named after him. But I really enjoyed it. Hugh Laurie's father was a doctor in real life.
No way.
So it's mad, because he said when he got the role that he was getting paid more per episode to play a doctor than his father ever did as a real doctor, which is fucked up.
That's messed up.
Like, the first season he was getting 50 grand an episode, and in season 2 he was the most watched actor in America for like fucking 3 or 4 years.
Jesus.
And he was getting 700 grand an episode after season 2. It's fucking crazy.
That is messed up, isn't it?
Crazy. Like, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. I would love to go back and watch it again. I'm sure there's probably episodes that are just like over and over again, but a lot of TV shows are like that. It's the synopsis, it's the plot of most TV shows. It's like they have a theme, they have a way of doing things, and that's just the way that the episodes go every week or every show if you watch. So that's when you're watching a box set or binge watching an episode or something. Like, we talked about SVU earlier. Like, it's every episode is very similar, and it's, you know, eventually they come to the court case, and, you know, the person's found guilty 90% of the time. So the House is like that too. But yeah, number 1 for me.
Wow, oh my God. Like, honestly, I've just started the calculations, and I'm like, do you know that meme where one is trying to figure out her budgets and she's every type of mathematical symbol coming out of her head? That is exactly what this page looks like. There's 0.75s. Like, it's actually nuts. But yeah, so chat amongst yourselves there while I go and Jeopardy the shit out of this.
Okay, so as we're recording, it's July 4th, American Independence Day, for those who celebrate. Not the people in France, Tom. I know they helped Americans get free of the Brits. So
No, they've Bastille in about 10 days, I think.
I'm going to ask you your top, well, not top, your Mount Rushmore, because it's an American thing, your Mount Rushmore of TV shows. So your top 4 TV shows of all time. on the fly, just out of the top of your head?
Yeah, that's tough because this actually vaguely popped into my head. Before I've always had like a few, maybe a top three, but then again, that was really old, and I feel like it kind of be up. Okay, I would definitely say Sopranos is up there, and The Wire is up there. Those are definitely two spots. I might put Breaking Bad in there as well. And then I think that last one could be tough. Mad Men, I think I could argue for Mad Men. If Game of Thrones hadn't ended as badly as it did, Game of Thrones would be there, I'd say. And then there's a few other ones I really love, but there's a few shows as well that I love that didn't really get proper endings. Like I loved Hannibal, but it only got 3 seasons. I haven't finished The Shield, but I'm really enjoying The Shield. And then there's like other shows that only had like a few seasons where I'm like, it's less impressive when it only had a short one. You know, Better Call Saul is probably as good as Breaking Bad really as well. Like so, yeah, it's tough. I would say I can definitely say Breaking Bad, The Wire, Sopranos, and I'm probably forgetting one of that. There's one in my head that used to be up there that now I can't remember. But yeah, that's probably where my head is at anyway. Mostly HBO shows, basically.
Phil?
What are we thinking? Like 40-minute shows, is it?
Yeah, like anything at all. Like your top favorite like TV shows of all time. So something you could sit there. It can be Friends or any. It doesn't have to be
Frasier, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Frasier. That's probably the best written thing I've ever seen. The Sopranos, Friends. Actually, I really like Friends. I always did. I recently actually just picked them up because I have a feeling it's going to get cancelled. I don't know why. I just have that feeling in my head that it's going to get pulled off all streaming services.
Because there's no black characters, or
the next 2 years, yeah, and then we won't be able to find it.
They've said that a few times since it ended. Like there's a lot of.
It's like that 70s show is nowhere to be seen over this stuff with Hyde.
Even though they've made that 90s show now.
Yeah, I actually really liked that 90s show. I thought it was funny.
I hated the first season. I thought it was just really fucking.
I haven't finished it. I want to watch the second season. I didn't really consider comedy. I think, and I never do. Like my head is very regimented to be like comedy drama separate, even though it shouldn't be. But like, I mean, this is the question I always run into, which is like when you put Simpsons up there, can you really put it up there because it's like 10 amazing seasons and then like 25 years of not great stuff.
Yeah,
that's kind of the debate I run into. But like comedy, I mean, I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. Parks and Recreation I'm watching at the moment, but again the first season and a bit of that was kind of meh. I guess could you kind of Father Ted? It's only as a short run. I don't know. Seinfeld, Friends, Community, Arrested Development. Again, Arrested Development got ruined when it was got back. That's why a comedy I'm like, it's harder to keep comedy going sometimes. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's tough.
That's mad.
Well,
I think Fallout is going to be up there in the next few years. I think people.
I still haven't watched Fallout.
It's good.
Yeah, once that gets a few seasons, I think that'll be up there.
Speaking of Fallout, the results are in the Fallout.
Wow.
This list that was lost, that fell down a couple of stairs.
No, stop it. Just stop it.
No, it's
stop it. You were, love, you were.
It's going to be a haiku.
Oh, go on, love. You carry on.
No, it's all right. No,
sorry.
It's lost my train of thoughts gone.
Okay, so right. So the top 10 list of the the top 2004. There we go. Right. So our list goes as follows. Here is our top 10. And honestly, this was the weirdest list ever to place. Trying to work out the averages of this So with that, please leave the runway. At number 10 was Project Runway. No surprises there, I think, from anybody across the board. If there was an 11, we'd probably whack it in there, I think, for a lot of us. Number 9, beep, beep, was Traffic. Number 8, was she pushed? Did she fall? Was she hit by an owl? It was The Staircase. Who knows?
A watermelon.
Who knows? Or a watermelon, never know. Patrick Swayze lamped her one from beyond the grave. Number 7, who could solve that? Veronica Mars and her dad. That's who could solve it. In she came at number 7 for our high school PI. If she can't solve it, definitely the boys who come in at number 6 can. It's Boston Legal. They'd have all the answers to those questions, love. So yeah, William Shatner and his team at the Boston Legal. You bunch of pricks. In at number 5 came Deadwood. How in the name of God it did, but it did, right? So Deadwood is in at number 5. Let's hope that this house wasn't built of Deadwood. Way! House was at number 4. From House, we on to the Ola abandoned plane on the island with the smoke monster, polar bears, a pregnant woman, pilots flying out of the seats with his head in the trees, a love triangle,
And the winning lotto numbers.
rations, you name it, cuddly toy, trip to Spain, everything was in this. So that was Lost at number 3. Our two top places. This was really, really hard to place. But coming in at number 2 is, of course, a trip down Wisteria Lane to the Desperate Housewives. Placed very, very high, which is intriguing. But number 2, Desperate Housewives, and the team of ladies there, which means at number 1, Rescue Me, careered into number 1. And it's mad because we all have such differing opinions on this, but wanted to watch maybe more. I think I know, Phil, you were iffy about it, but Rescue Me came in at number 1. Guys, what do you think of our overall haul top 10?
It's not too bad compared
What's the
to
what?
it works.
Well, what's the phrase? Too many chefs, I think.
It was, yeah,
I think
messed
the
up.
gap between
I feel like it's like, you know, when there's a compromise but no one's happy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm happy with the gap between Project Runway and Rescue Me. Let's put it that way. Like
That's true.
number 1 to number 10 is a definite.
Yeah, this was one messed up list. Do you know what I mean? And like, even if we shuffled that deck of cards of a list, I still think we'd probably be like, what the fuck just happened? You know, because it was definitely a weird one. But we love weird. It makes it interesting, gives us lots of differences of opinions, which is what this is all about. Because not everybody's, you're not ever going to be everyone's cup of tea. You're always going to be somebody's cup of coffee, which is important in life. Variety is the spice of life, dear.
Absolutely. And speaking of variety,
Ooh.
Philip Connolly, what the fuck is going on with the movie?
We're actually done. We're
Are
just
we done?
Ooh.
We're 98% finished. Yeah, we're finished. Sure. Since the last time we've been on here, we were doing 2 short movies.
My
So,
God.
yeah.
Tough at the top, Phil, though, isn't it?
I know
Yeah.
we have got a release date yet for any of those.
October is what they're saying.
A festival in October.
Indie Cork in October, yeah. That should be. I think that'll be the world premiere.
Ooh.
Ooh. So we need a frock and a suit. Okay,
Yeah.
ready, lads? We need a frock and a suit. Amazing.
I reckon it'll be in the Arc Cinema as well.
The Arc. Oh, right. Okay, I haven't been to that new
Nice.
one yet.
Yeah, it has to be that, yeah.
Oh, Jesus. We might have to have a little pod date. What do you think? I think so.
We may broadcast from there, maybe.
Ooh, that would be nice. Little premiere.
Mm.
Definitely. Feel all spruced up, I think would be essential. And Tom, tell us, you're just back from a whirlwind trip. Definitely one of those investigators who was in the house for a staircase. But anyway, so what is going on? You've had a busy few weeks.
Yeah, I'm back from France now, and now the main goal is to start putting stuff out because I've had a few slow months. So I'm very excited for that. First thing I'm going to talk about is we're going to start launching, hopefully sometime this month. We're going to put a trailer. Actually, probably by the time this comes out, the trailer will be out. We're going to have Pop Cult Pod presents Week Shark Movies Week. And the first week is WEAK.
Movies week.
So we're going to watch some truly awful shark movies, and we're going to do one a day. I'm just going to run through the list of movies here because it's quite a list. Sharks of the Corn, which they say isn't Stephen King. It's written by Stephen Kang, so that should be great. Shark Exorcist. What's next? Zombie Shark. Shark and Saw Women's Prison Massacre. These are all Academy Award nominees. Raiders of the Lost Shark, Jurassic Shark, Planet of the Sharks. Yeah, that's those are some truly great movies. I will say this, not being hyperbolic. I have not watched all of these yet, but I have seen one of them, and I think I'm not even joking. I think it's genuinely the worst film I've ever seen. Like with no competition. It's like a whole league. It's 20,000 leagues away from the rest of them. And yeah, aside from that, I'm on page 180 every month talking about the month's releases. I'm also going to be popping in there to talk about The Boys and possibly The Bear soon. And loads of stuff is coming to the channel because now that I have a bit of time, yeah, it's going to go crazy. We're going to have some Deadpool and Wolverine based stuff and lots more. So yeah, Pop Cult Pod. Check it out on all platforms.
Fantastic, my God. Aside from that whole shark stuff there that I thought for the first few minutes you made up with their films, fair enough. That's just, like amazing, fantastic. And sometimes it's nice to have a recharge then because you come back just ready to go again and just kick it all off again, which is fab. So make sure and check out Tom and his channel at Pop Cult Pod because he's doing some amazing things there. And as you said, a Shark Week list of shark movies, including possibly the worst one he's ever seen in his entire life, which is a lot coming
So
from Tom.
far, so far.
Exactly.
So far, yeah. I haven't seen all the movies on the list yet.
There you go. So make sure and check him out. Of course, our soon-to-be Oscar nominee director, Phil, make sure as well to go over to Deep Red Productions and give them a follow and give them likes in their videos as well, and let them know what you think of their content too. Super important. Of course, you have us, Top of the Pods. Make sure and come and check us out as well. Did you agree with the list? Were some of these completely off the wall, or were some of them like, yes, I watched all of that one, is fabulous? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure and give us a like, follow, and subscribe, as well as at Irish Wrestling A2 for all of your wrestling podcast content too, on all of your social media platforms. If you are not following us already, why not? Get out there, get subscribed, and of course, watch what's coming your way.
We will be back next month with the top 10 natural disaster movies.
Runway.
To celebrate the release of Twisters.
Oh, I remember Twister in the watching that when it first came out. So, oh yeah, I'll do like a good disaster. You know, I think I don't think you could beat a good disaster. So yeah, next episode, looking forward to top 10 disaster movies. Bring it on. We'll be looking forward to that and looking forward to bringing you something new. So for myself being Liz, himself being Jerry, from Phil and from Tom, thanks so much for tuning in, and bye for now. See ya.